and welcome to IGN Anime Club, Episode 4. I'm your host, Miranda Sanchez, and with me today, as always, is Elena Yee.
Hello.
And Megan Sullivan.
Hi, guys.
And then our guest for this week, Mitch Dyer.
You look so excited.
Yeah.
You are so excited that I'm a guest.
Yes,
I don't
I am.
understand. I sit 3 desks away from you. You can see me anytime.
I mean, kind of, but you're usually busy or gone. You travel a lot.
Okay, those are true. Hi.
Hi.
I'm super excited to be here to talk about cartoons.
Yay, anime.
You gave me that scornful look, don't call them cartoons.
I was just thinking that you may have incurred some minor wrath.
Whatever. I call everything a cartoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair.
It's the best. Whatever.
That's fine. Fun shows.
Anime is the best.
Yeah. So we just want to start our episode with some announcement kind of news stuff. First off, we have a Facebook group, so please go join that. It's facebook.com/group/IGN Anime Club. I want to talk to you guys. It's easier than the comments because it's hard to go through all of them.
That's
There's
true.
thousands sometimes. But yeah, so go ahead and join that. There's also a Crunchyroll group. So if you guys are on Crunchyroll, have a Crunchyroll account. One of our listeners made an awesome little group, so you can join that and talk about anime on Crunchyroll as well.
That's the best.
Lots of places to talk about anime. Do you want to do the other announcement, Elena?
Oh, so we were actually wondering, with FanimeCon coming up at the end of next month, which is really just a month away at this point, since we're at the end of April, we were wondering if anyone local in the Bay Area or who's coming out would like to do a meetup. So let us know. What's the best way for that? Do you think the Facebook group?
Facebook group.
Yeah.
Let's coordinate. So, yay, meetup. If you guys are interested, of course. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
If no one says anything, we'll probably just skulk around the con.
Yeah,
and
we'll just
not-
be there.
Yeah.
Do you guys have an email address yet?
Not yet.
We're going to get you one of those.
Sorry, guys. I told you I would this week, but then I just got us this Facebook group instead.
That's pretty good. That's
So,
fine. We'll get an email.
Trade-offs, I promise. Email is coming. So yeah, let's just kick off the show, like as always, with what we're watching. Anybody in particular want to go first?
Me, actually.
Yeah?
So
You
I
have some exciting stuff?
finally got my butt around to watching Plastic Memories.
Yay!
I caught up, so I'm up to date. I watched all the 4 episodes that are available, at least on Crunchyroll. And I don't know if I like it.
Wow.
Oh,
Someone
yeah.
described this show to me.
The
And I was
Android
like,
show?
this is like I had a short story idea, and it's that show. Basically. It's like, well, I guess I can't do that anymore.
Nope.
Well, I don't want to spoil anything, right? So let me think about how to phrase this. But the premise, as we talked about this before, which is, this is about this, kid basically fresh out of high school, first job, and his first job is that he has to go and collect these androids who have reached the end of their lives, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was going to be all the crying. That I was just gonna spend every episode drenched in tears. There's this drama that I've been trying to get you into.
Yeah.
That what is it called in English? I think it's Crying Out Love from the Center of the World. And that live action drama is very much like every single freaking episode. I was just bawling. It was so bad that one night when I binged watched 3 episodes, I came in the next day and my coworkers really tactfully asked me, allergies last night? And she said it in this voice that basically said, did you break up with somebody? No, I was just watching, dramas.
So what is it about again? I think you described it and I forget.
So it's basically about this company sells these androids to people, or I guess loans them or leases them, really. And at the end of their lives, they come back to collect them. So this basically is following the main character who just took a job at this company, and his job is to do this retrieval. And so I thought it was going to be all this crying. But, it starts off super strong, right? So the first episode
Right.
just I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. And then, the second, third, and even the fourth one was, way more muted. It just kind of, veers off into, trying to track, I guess, the lives of the people who are actually part of the company.
Right.
And I
That's
just
so
feel...
much less interesting.
Yeah. I just felt like they were just trying to add too much to this. Because I looked it up, and this is only, a 13-episode series. So, I don't know.
So I've only watched the first 2 episodes because I'm trying to watch, of course, a little bit of everything. So I'm super
Gotta have
behind.
that varied life.
Yeah, I don't. It's really hard. Anyway, so that's one of the things I'm trying to catch up on this week. So I guess I'll find out.
Okay, I thought maybe you had watched the whole thing.
I haven't watched the most recent
Okay.
ones yet, but I know the first one was just so good. And the second one was like, all right, I kind of see what they're doing in establishing the show.
Yeah.
Of course, like the more personal stories of people who work in the company and that were. I mean, it's not really surprising what's going on. Like the twist. It's like, oh, that's obvious.
Yeah.
But
It just feels like right now like they've gone away from that whole initial like strong draw. So I don't know, guys. I'm trying not to be too much of a negative person here, because especially what I said last week about Arslan. But I'm just like, man, I'm gonna hate everything I watched this season. I hope not.
so do you hate it?
No, but I'm disappointed because I feel like they're trying to cram too much into it. If this was like a 26 episode like season or series, I think I'd be a little more permissive or okay with the idea that we're gonna like stop and like go off on this kind of tangent and then go back to like the whole main premise.
Yeah.
But when you only have 13 episodes, I feel like you don't really have much time to do that.
Right.
Just me though.
And brevity. Keep it tight. Mitch, what are you
Keep it
watching?
locked.
Keep it locked.
You keep it locked. I have actually not watched anything in a long time. It's been way too long since I've watched anime proper. Like I haven't sat down and be like, all right, let's watch this show that I need to watch. There are a few that I'm like 2 episodes into that I need to start over, but at this point it's like you said, I've been away, I've been gone, I've been so busy that at this point, like the only anime I've watched in the past like 2 months are the 2 episodes that we're going to talk about today.
Hey, that's fine. I like
Which
that
I'm very
show.
excited to talk about.
Yeah, it's like one of your favorite anime, right?
Bebop is like definitive. So actually, I think Bebop is, for me, it's not my favorite anime. I think there's stuff that I love. Trigun. Trigun will probably always be my favorite, but Bebop I think is like objectively maybe the best anime ever made for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And I love it to pieces.
Cool. We'll talk about it later then.
Exciting.
Very exciting.
What about you, Megan?
Let's see. So you'll love this because I know you're a fan.
I know I saw that. This was like,
I watched the first episode of Kill la Kill,
Nice.
and I did enjoy it.
So that's the one of the shows I've been like 1 or 2 episodes in. I kind of forget what happens, but I need to go back. But the first episode of Kill la Kill is so good.
It's
awesome.
super, super funny. I think that Matoy is like a very interesting character. Like I love her punk rock look, and I love her just sort of like she kicks butt and takes names.
Yep.
Still a little skeptical on the outfit. I feel like it's
Yeah.
supposed to be a parody, but let's call it what it is. It's still technically fan service.
Sure.
So I'm a little worried about that, but I feel like it's only the first episode.
Oh, just you wait.
I don't know if that's a
Oh,
good
boy.
thing or a bad
It's
thing.
so
but
good.
I mean, it being
And
from the guy who did
always.
Girl Lagan, I feel like, or Lagan, however you pronounce it, feel like maybe it's just a little bit of fan service. Like you
Yeah.
can call it parody, but you
Yeah.
also might want to just call a spade a spade.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
because I just watched the second episode of that as well, and there's a lot of really frustrating fan service
Sure.
where the girls like sitting there like a lot of TNA shots that weren't
Yeah.
totally necessary, and it's a little hard to get through.
So funny you mentioned that. So the one thing I forgot to mention about Plastic Memories, it's tangentially related to this, is that that show has so many butt shots.
Yeah, they're super big on butts.
Like some robot butts?
Yeah, and it's funny because
Yeah.
I kept thinking that we were about to get to like the gratuitous panty shot, and I was like, and they would just stop at the butt, and I was like, okay, I think I'm more okay with this, but I'm not sure if I'm
You had the
actually
expectations up here, and they ended here. You're like,
So I'm like,
all right.
okay, but I'm still not sure if I like this.
Yeah, but that was one of the things. But I actually did really like Kill la Kill. I'm looking forward to the second episode. What I didn't like quite as much was the second episode of Gunslinger Stratos, which is seriously suffering from bad pacing issues. And if you don't know what that is, it's a story
not.
about characters who have to basically fight their alter egos in a separate universe.
Oh, that one.
Super, super cool concept.
Yeah, the premise sounds super cool. Like I watched the first episode of that too, and I was just like,
Yeah, it's really weird. Like the way that it's paced is really weird. The second episode is mostly all about like, hey, they're explaining what's happening, but it's so boring. Like the dialogue isn't very tight. It's kind of all over the place. And there's this one part where it reminds me of the Simpsons episode. I'll explain in a second. But basically, the main character Toru is like, here's a gun. Whether you choose to use it against your alter ego or not, we'll leave it up to you.
That's
But
some
it was
Jedi stuff.
It's some Jedi stuff, but it also reminds me of that Simpsons episode where Bart's in the back of the police car and the policeman comes over and it's like, I know this is highly unorthodox, but would you back us up? And he like holds up this gun and Bart's like, cool. And it was kind of that it ticked that off because all of a sudden these adults who barely know this kid, all they know is he fell into the other dimension kind of by accident, by falling. They're like, oh, you're totally right for taking on this super secret government mission of trying to kill your alter ego in another universe. There's some weird leap in logic that even I was like not willing to suspend my belief for, where I was like, come on, guys, there was a better way to set this up. So I'm going to give it another chance. I'm like, it's still a cool concept. I mean, parallel universes about to collide and you're being forced to fight your other self. It's a cool concept, but the way they're setting it up is just dragging.
Yep.
That's a bummer.
That's what I felt from the first episode. I was like, oh, this could have been cool. Oh, well. I think maybe it picks up. I mean, some shows just start off slow and then get better.
Do you guys, when you watch a show like that, like, when after a couple episodes, do you give up or do you persist? Like, it'll get good after 13 episodes, and then I'll love it.
I have a rule of 3. You give it 3 to 4. Like, if you really believe in it, give it 4.
Okay, so mine is always 5.
Okay, that's generous.
Yeah, and it's 5 because, like, Cowboy Bebop is an example. The first 4 episodes, really, really, really good. Kind of. This is, we'll talk about
something to say
we'll talk about
that.
one of them, then maybe not. But 5, like, the 5th episode of Cowboy Bebop is such, like, a revelation for that show that I am willing to give. Yeah, I probably won't be here for that episode, which is a bummer. But like, if a show like Bebop can do that, then I hope that some other creators can learn from that. Go like, all right, you know, after 5 episodes, if we don't have that like barn burner attitude by then, like, I'm out.
Yeah, I agree, but at the same time, I don't have time to give everything 5 episodes.
That's true.
So yeah, and when some anime are just so short, it's like 12 or 13 episodes.
Yeah.
And then it's like, if you're not established by 3
You do
or
it like
4,
on a percentage basis, like, I'll give you 8%.
Yeah,
and then
it's
I'm
like you're
out.
done.
Well, I kind of apply that to video games as well,
Sure,
where if
yeah.
it's like a 20-hour game and by hour 5 or 6 you haven't established what's going on and you haven't
Yeah.
engaged me, it's like, why am I wasting my time?
There are also some where you're like, you just know you're not going to connect with it. Like, this is
Yeah.
garbage. I'm out. I am
Well,
just not.
that's-
You and me are just not going to resonate.
I
Sorry.
don't know. Like, I feel like that's a really interesting thing because so many of my friends who are JRPG fans, they're like, you have to give it like 20
Just
hours.
get through the first 20 hours. It's
Like,
awesome
what?
after that. The
I'll
next 20
amend
are
that
great.
and say that as someone who constantly reviews JRPGs, I give it the first 10 hours. The first 10 hours, the game holds your hand. You're still kind of in a tutorial phase, even though it's not quite as obvious. And then it kind of lets you go. But it's, you know, especially with Western games that they don't
Sure.
do that as much, it is harder and harder for me to accept that as a JRPG fan. I'm like, look, by hour, I shouldn't have to wait 10 hours for you to open up and, you know, let's do the thing. Let's, you know, by 5 hours, yeah.
I'm like weirdly more forgiving of every other medium I can think of. Like with video games, I'll play a bunch of hours. If I start a book, like I'm gonna finish that book.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about books that I can't not finish
Like
them.
I started it, I'm gonna read it. That's it. But like with a show and a series of any kind, like I don't know, even stuff that I'm like into but not in love with, like American TV or whatever. Like season 1 of The Good Wife, it's pretty good, but I don't feel the need to like watch it every day. So if a show is not gonna impress me out of the gate, it's really hard for me to keep going.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, some things you just know are going to be good. Like, I mentioned this last week. I'm not a comic book fan. I love Daredevil. I finally finished it this weekend. I was like, it's amazing.
Show's so good.
It's so good, you know. But it's like there's certain shows you're like, this is not going to take off in any way, shape, or form.
Yep.
Same with games. Same with anime.
Yeah, it's kind of hard also whenever you have a really solid recommendation from a friend. They're like, you have to watch a
Oh,
show,
man.
but you have to get through the first 10 episodes before it gets good. It's like, what?
That's
Okay.
10 hours of my life. I can't
Yeah.
get back.
Yeah, so it's difficult, but
Or even
You
like
find it.
during good shows. Sorry, like Trigon I mentioned is my favorite. That show I think is a really amazing comedy show for like the first 12 episodes. And then like episode 13 I think is the turning point where things go way different. Like the tone of the show completely changes. It becomes about something different and it becomes this totally other thing that I love even more. So people who are watching it are like, this is like a dumb comedy. This is not like a cool action show like you're saying. It's like, yeah, it is though. I swear to God.
It just has that tonal shift. What about you, Miranda? What are you watching?
So I try, as I've said a bajillion times, I've tried to watch everything. So this week, what I want to highlight that I've been watching are 2 different shows. Sound Euphonium, so Hibike Euphonium, if you know the Japanese name, which is about high schoolers and them going into a music class and choosing new instruments.
Okay.
It's about a girl who plays euphonium, and if you don't know what that is, it's like a little smaller tuba, essentially.
But there's
Little
got to be
baby tuba.
more to
It's a
it.
little
Like, it's not
compressed.
just them
Yeah,
sitting
it
in
has-
class.
Right. So what I really appreciate the show so far is that it really takes high school elements into play. Like, it's very, with most slice of life kind of anime, like high school is like secondary. It's like whatever kind of background noise for what's going on with the kids or whoever it's featuring. But this is actually takes into play of like, okay, this is our class. Are we gonna try out for nationals this year, or are we just gonna have fun? And like that's like a big premise is like them trying to create like a really great band, and versus the people who just want to like chill and just have like a good time. And it's just interesting how so like real it feels.
It's like Friday Night Lights for music nerds.
Yeah, it's so good. Like there's so many. So I played clarinet all through like almost from like 5th grade to sophomore year in college. So I played a long time. And so there's like clarinets in it. I'm like, yeah, more clarinet time.
I play that.
More clarinet time. Yeah, I'm like, Tom was like, that's where I would sit. That's where I would sit. I was like, you set up, have the setup right. It's perfect. But it's about brass, so whatever. But anyway, not bitter.
Your time will come.
Yes, eventually they'll focus on the clarinets and the woodwinds. But it's just really cool how they have that classroom setting to be such a focal point for the show. It's just something I appreciate, and also all the small musical details are like fantastic. It's not skimping out. It's like, oh, well, this valve goes here. It actually is there, instead of just like cutting lines and just making like weird instruments that are kind of like from afar and kind of cheaply drawn. Like they look like great.
I always appreciate anytime there's music in a show when someone like playing a guitar is like actually holding a chord, and I'm like, that's a C. You're doing a C. You animated them doing a C. You didn't need to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome, and of course it's very difficult. Like with Your Lie in April, they play piano and violin a lot. Like that's kind of like the premise. A lot of it, not the premise, but it happens a lot in the shows. And instead of like doing all of the animation for them playing the keys, because that would be ridiculous, they just kind of do like more still shots and like kind of pan it over, and it looks fine still, but it's a different appreciation whenever they're actually, you know, doing the full animation. So it's just really cool and how detailed it is. So I really like that, and it's also just super cute. And then I'm also watching very different Kekai Sensen, or Blood Blockade Battlefront. Don't know how those names. I don't know.
I like
that
all three
is
of
a
those
Yeah,
words.
it's fine. So yeah, it's like okay. It takes place in an alternate New York. So say New York is still New York City, and then there's like an alter world that crashes into it, and like there's these weird demon-y monster dudes that now just live there, and they just like, okay, cool, we'll just make this work. And so that's kind of the premise of the setting. And then in this world, you have this organization called Libra, and they are meant to keep the peace between humans and like the alter world people. And so it kind of just focuses on a kid who's pretty ordinary, and he was out on a trip with his family. I guess I don't know where he's from. I don't know if it said where his country of origin is, but he's in New York with his family. I think they're on a vacation, and this demon dude pops. It's not really explained yet. Pops up between him and his sister and says, "Hey, I have like these all-seeing god eyes. One of you is gonna get them. Who's gonna be?"
Cool.
You get to be, yeah. So it was like it's really weird. I guess his sister has like a disability. I forget what it was exactly. It's been a while since I've seen it, but they went to New York to go find like a cure or something, because they have better medicines, because like these other world people live there too. And then eventually it's like a big point of whether he like let his sister have it or he had it, and then eventually find out, of course, that he has it. And now it's him working in New York City with this group to try to make money, send it back to his family, and just a bunch of crazy cool fights. So it's
super down with that.
Awesome. Like, it's just so weird because it's still kind of establishing like the big premise, like overall kind of thing. But right now it's just kind of like the fun mishaps that happen within Organization Libra. So it's just kind of like, okay. I don't know. It's just like a really cool design. It's very jazzy. So I kind of feel like if you liked Cowboy Bebop kind of jazzy style, it kind of mimics that in a way and kind of has that feel to it. Of course, very high on the sci-fi because of all these like other creatures and otherworldly things. And it's just super fun. Like, it's funny, and it's all over the place. Like, there's some stuff I still don't quite understand about it. Like, it's like, what is even happening? Okay, that's fine. So yeah, it's just a really cool show.
That sounds like one of those shows where like after every scene you're just like, anime.
Yep. All right, that's fine.
If the question is what is going on, the answer is anime.
Yeah. So we have some pretty big news.
We have two
Actually,
bits
today.
of big news,
Yeah.
which is very exciting.
So first off, I'm pretty sure more people are very excited about is that there's going to be a new Dragon Ball series called Dragon Ball Supers, which was what I was kind of talking about the other show. We were like, oh, there's a Dragon Ball thing happening.
Yeah. So you
Did
were
we know
right.
that this was coming? I had no idea.
So I heard
You had some
from someone.
scoops.
I had scoops, but we didn't know what it was. So I was looking.
Got it.
I thought it was already announced.
Oh.
So
That would have been
whatever.
awkward.
Yeah, it was weird. I was like, I don't know. It's just a Dragon Ball show that's happening. So there is actually one happening in July, and it's not just that fan film that I saw,
So is this-
which looked really cool too, though.
It's
to be
happening
fair.
this summer. Is it Japan only, or is it launching here simultaneously?
So we can probably assume that it's gonna be simulcast.
Okay, cool.
I mean, don't take my word for it. I'm not sure, but I am almost certain that someone is gonna try to simulcast it. Like, I don't see why they wouldn't. They did for Sailor Moon Crystal. They've done it for tons and tons of shows.
Good point.
I think they'd absolutely want it to have as much reach as possible. So Dragon Ball Super takes place after the Buu arc. So I think that's at the end of Dragon Ball Z or
Yeah,
something.
so this ignores GT.
Yeah.
Like, is this before GT, or is it like, GT's not canon because Toriyama wasn't really involved?
They didn't really say. I mean, it's like a very brief quotes that's not very detailed.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like just, wait and see till they announce more information. But the super exciting thing about this is that the original creator is coming back for it. So
Yeah, I think that that'll be great because it'll be like tonally and story-wise, it'll be consistent with what's happened before. So I think that Toriyama coming back and actually writing it and being involved in it is going to be super huge for fans.
absolutely.
So it's not going to be some like weird reboot or like it goes completely off the rails and does its own thing.
Yeah,
So.
that's super exciting for me as someone who loved Dragon Ball Z growing up, then kind of fell off after a while. I was never like a big purist. Like, I forget a lot of the stuff that happened in that show, so I'm not like, whenever I think about GT, it's just a show that I'm like, why does this exist? I'm not a purist where I'm like, it's not as good as the can. I just don't care.
What
it
is
never mattered
GT?
to
Is
me.
it like a parallel story?
No, it was like a
or-
weird sequel series that just oh god, I wish I remember more details, but it just mattered so little to me that it just I don't know, it just wasn't very good. Like, it was trying to be Dragon Ball. It was basically like Dragon Ball fan fiction, but
Ooh.
produced by the same company.
Wow.
So the newest film that just came out in Japan, and it was debuted in the U.S. and L.A. like for a limited release, is also coming out later this summer, I believe, with the dub, and that also takes place after the Buu arc. So I wonder if that's gonna have anything to do with the new show.
Is this the Frieza movie?
Yeah,
Okay.
with like I think Goku has like the pink hair too. I think that was a thing. So I'm
There's
sorry,
also like a
I don't know
million
tons of Dragon Ball.
Saiyans suddenly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Everyone's the same.
Could it be like a
Same part.
prequel
Just kidding.
that sort of sets up the
Yeah,
series?
so I kind of wonder, like, I haven't seen it myself, so I don't really know, like, the details of it, but I'm kind of interested in, like, I mean, if you guys know, fan theories, please.
Please educate
Everywhere.
us.
Yeah, call to
Yeah, I
action.
try. Like, I
in the
mean,
comments below.
Dragon Ball is one of those series that's just so difficult to get into because there's also so much.
Yeah.
But it's maybe something worth it at this point if they're going to do a new show, and I kind of wonder, how well can you just jump into Dragon Ball Supers without any prior knowledge?
It's really hard to jump into Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
I tried, and it's like if you haven't seen Dragon Ball, they don't really bother to explain what's going on at
Right.
all. So I'm amazed that an entire generation in the 90s was just loved it so much because it's like, what is going on? Because did they translate the original Dragon Ball? I can't remember.
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah, it aired before. It was popular, but it wasn't like Dragon Ball Z popular at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dragon Ball Z, I feel like it was the bigger action show. Dragon Ball was a lot more about like, here's this spunky kid going on his little adventures, whereas Dragon Ball Z is, here's a bunch of dudes beating the crap out of each other. Isn't that awesome? They have lasers for fists. Yeah, it's great.
Which is pretty awesome, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder, and I hope, I guess we'll find out as soon as it starts airing. Like I said, if you can just jump into Supers, maybe kind of cool, because like obviously there's a whole new generation of kids who would probably love to watch Dragon Ball, because obviously it appealed, or Dragon Ball Z appealed to a lot of people when they were younger and older. So I guess we shall see.
Exciting.
Yeah. So also other big news, we have. I don't know. Did you guys know about this? That there's gonna be a American Death Note film?
I do now.
Yeah.
I think that's basically
So-
how I reacted
Sure.
to it, where it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
wait.
don't know how I didn't know about this. Like, I think maybe I heard a rumor about it, but I didn't.
It's got to be one of those things where like that was announced around the same time as the Ghost in the Shell movie and the Cowboy Bebop movie, and we just thought all of them got canceled. But the Ghost in the Shell movie's happening too.
Well, yeah, and the other thing too is there is a live action of Death Note, which I've actually
already
seen on
exists.
TV, but it's it was actually made in Japan. So maybe when I heard the news, I was like, why are they referencing that? Or maybe they're making a sequel in Japan or something. I don't know, but I didn't realize there's actually an American-made movie that now has a director and a scriptwriter.
Right.
Who are those people?
So our director is Adam Wingard. He directed The Guest and You're Next, which are two horror films.
Your Next was supposed to be really good.
Yeah, I
It
haven't.
was like Cabin in the Woods level. Like people went in expecting a dumb horror movie, and it was really smart and cool.
Interesting. So I haven't seen either of these. I just kind of read the premise. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, that's fine. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense to have a horror film director, but at the same time, it's more of a thriller and like a mystery.
It's very tense. Like, it has elements of darkness in it.
Yeah, the style is very dark.
Like
it's
his,
dark,
gosh, I wish I remembered more about Death Note, but his like tall, lanky demon.
Ryuk,
yeah, Ryuk was awesome. Yeah. He's terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a horror director can probably bring that dude to life better than the atrocious looking Ryuk and the weird live action Death Note movie where he's a CG monster man.
That was weird. That was weird.
So
and I didn't
strange.
understand. I only caught like the movie halfway through, but the second half just seemed so convoluted. I couldn't tell what the heck was going
on. Kind of like
the book. So yeah, there you go. And so I'm curious to know how they're going to, I think Miranda, you mentioned it before we started recording. It's like, how are you going to fit everything about Death Note into 2 hours?
Yeah, and I wonder if they're gonna leave room for like a sequel or something. Because I mean,
did they actually say what it's about though? Like,
they haven't actually.
So it could be like
premise.
It could even be like a spin-off, right? Like it could be some kind of like, I don't know, sequel story or something like that.
I don't think there's any way they skip over the Kira Ryuk characters.
Yeah, I don't think they could skip that part. I think maybe that they could do is end it. Like, there's a really good like ending point in Death Note where they could have just cut it off, but they kept going.
Then they kept going.
Yeah. Everyone doesn't like the kept going part, and people aren't much of a fan of that. I mean, I liked it all right, but main protagonist, antagonist people will probably be the focus. I think the most interesting thing here, though, is how are they going to adapt it for American audience? Like, do they think, like, that's what I'm curious about.
There's a lot of, like, culturally specific Japanese stuff in that book that you could probably approximate pretty well, but I don't know. I'm of the mind that like a lot of concerns about whitewashing anime stuff and manga into American movies. Like, yeah, it's weird that we'll probably have a character named Kusanagi who is Scarlett Johansson. Like, that's definitely weird. Like, at that point, like, just change her name. Just make her a different named detective. It still goes in the shell. Like, you are creating the world. You don't need to replicate the exact characters in the exact setting. Like, it doesn't need to be Scarlett Johansson as Kusanagi in like a weird futuristic Tokyo. You can Americanize it. You can adapt it. Like, that's what it is. It's an adaptation. And if done well, it would be awesome.
Right. It's like I don't think there's a problem with having really strong adaptations. Like, there's a Sailor Moon live action, which is very different from the manga and very different from the anime, but it's done so well.
You're not talking about like the one that was canceled with Alicia Silverstone, are you?
No. Like the Japanese.
Oh, the Japanese ones. Oh, you didn't know about that?
No.
So in the 90s, they actually were going to make a Sailor Moon action movie, and they apparently cast Alicia Silverstone as Serena, as Sailor Moon, and then supposedly, this is just what I remember, Gina Davis might have been set up for Queen Beryl.
Who was going to be Tuxedo Mask?
I have no idea.
It would have been like DiCaprio.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
I don't know. Maybe that would be too big of an actor, because this was around the time of Titanic. I think he was too big of an actor for that, but I would be very curious.
Nobody is too good for Tuxedo Mask.
I'm not arguing.
Mitch, your face.
I am in awe.
Yeah,
I learned something today.
Yes, you did. But my concern is this going to end up in developer hell like Akira
and Cowboy Bebop?
Where it's like, like, and I'm worried that, are these anime fans, are they going to treat the source material right? Because I didn't know this until this morning, until I looked it up, but apparently the director attached to Akira was even saying that he doesn't think the characters are very interesting, or that Japanese animation has very good stories and characters. And I was like, oh, God.
What a goober.
It's like, why are you doing that?
Why are you trashing
That's like
your
Tim
own
Burton going
movie?
like, you know what? I don't really like Batman comics. Never read them. So what are you doing here?
Yeah, so I'm really hoping that these are people who are passionate about Death Note, or passionate about anime, or respect the source material, because, you do have to adjust it for Western audiences, but at the same time, it's like you don't want to lose the heart and soul of what Death Note is.
Right. And so we have the scriptwriter, who is Jeremy Slater, who actually hasn't written much. He wrote one film, and he also wrote the Fantastic Four reboot. So
which reboot? The new one?
The new one.
Okay.
The newest one.
So that's interesting, because he's adapting this goofy, like, 1930s super squad story into a modern era in a way that, for me, like, seeing the new trailer really made me go like, oh, they're doing really cool new stuff with Fantastic Four. So, like, that's exciting all of a sudden.
Yeah, so I think there's potential here. Obviously, always tread with caution. Like, just hope that it's good, Also, now I really want to see Fantastic Four just to see how the writing goes. It's like that. No, I don't
You're going to be sitting there judging the whole...
Yeah.
Just taking notes.
I don't care about Fantastic Four at all. Like, I don't care about their comics.
You don't love Ben Grimm?
I didn't like the other movie at all. But that was...
You mean where the shield
bad.
played the thing?
Yeah. It was... Anyway.
Why do you
My
always give me that
brain.
look?
No, because my brain can't handle it.
I can't speak to anything. The last super comic movie I saw was Guardians of the Galaxy, which I loved, by the way. But I'm not a huge comic books person, so I can only speak of like Daredevil and Guardians of the Galaxy and Arrow. Like I feel kind of bad.
You
It's
should
like,
watch Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
It's basically a spy movie starring Captain America.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
It's awesome.
I will watch that. I will make that a homework assignment. I will write that down right now.
Yeah, so I guess we will see where that film goes. Hopefully we get... I'm really interested to see how they cast. I think it'll be a big indicator in how they tone the movie and like how they want to adapt
Like,
it.
which weirdo do you cast as L for that movie?
So
Well,
excited.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too hard. I really think whatever they pick as their premise is just going to basically shape the whole thing.
Absolutely. So hopefully we see some good things out of that.
Who would you cast for L?
That weird guy, Rich, from the Silicon Valley show. He's just stammering and he's weird and he's awkward. It's kind of like L.
Yeah, in the beginning. Yeah. Cool. Well, that is it for our anime news today. So, I mean, obviously it doesn't happen very often, but
This is a big
big
week.
stuff.
Yeah.
It was a big week. Yeah.
It's pretty exciting. I mean, it's kind of nice to see more popular anime go a little bit more mainstream. I think
Yeah.
that's always good. I mean,
Like, Disney's doing Ghost in the Shell, right? Is it Disney? Like, I thought it was on
don't
their slate
remember
for like the
who's
next
doing
10
it.
years. Like that, the fact that Ghost in the Shell is with a gigantic movie company, whether it's Disney or whoever's got it, like that's really reassuring because it will bring that franchise to the attention of the mainstream.
But
Hopefully, in a positive way.
Akira part of Warner Brother, or is that some other studio?
You might be right.
Yeah, I'm not
Ghost
sure.
in the Shell, according to the Googles, Ghost in the Shell is being produced by DreamWorks, which is owned by Disney.
oh.
So there is hope.
I think it's just all exciting because then the more
Hmm.
or even like anime adapted stuff that we get or manga adapted, just maybe the more anime we'll get here. Like
Yeah.
having Crunchyroll and Funimation is obviously awesome, and Hulu picking up more shows is awesome. But even whatever we can get, that's awesome. So I'm
Anime's
just happy-
cool, guys.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be able to watch it. So on that note, anime has kind of snuck into like our pop culture a lot. Like obviously people who watch anime as kids, growing up, are now becoming content creators and creating shows and novels and music. And so we see bits of like references and allusions to anime and manga in a lot of pop culture now. And so I just want to ask you guys, what are some of like the coolest references to anime and pop culture? Because there have actually been a lot of really awesome recent ones, especially with like Adventure Time and the regular show. Because they're just awesome. Like in Adventure Time, there is the Fiona and Cake show where Finn is a female instead of a male, just because it's just like a parallel sort of thing.
Yeah, they just
where
flip
they just
the
flip all the
genders.
genders, which is
That's
kind of
funny.
cool. Yeah, and at one part, Fiona's wearing a dress, and it looks incredibly like the Princess Serenity's dress from Sailor Moon. So it's just like,
Which
I
is
saw that.
awesome.
I was so happy. I was just like, this is the best. And then recently, the regular show had their intro done like Evangelions. Like, they just had like a bunch of Evangelion references, and
That's
they
I
pretty
had
great.
totally missed
they
that.
had like the theme song and everything.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. You can probably find it online.
That's pretty great.
I
So
have to
good.
write that down as well.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right.
Oh,
So what have you guys seen that you have particularly liked or hated?
Okay, good. Because
yeah,
it's funny because, so, of course, Miranda's all like, let's make this positive. It's like the best one.
there's
And my
bad things,
first
too.
reaction was, I've got the worst one. At least
Tell
for
me more.
At least for me. So, Kanye West.
Yes, God, I was gonna say this is the best. That was exactly where my mind was at for the best. Elena.
That's the best. That's the worst to me.
Please
He
proceed.
finds every excuse to work into his lyrics whenever he can that he watches anime. And it's like, really? Like, come on.
Kanye West loves Akira so much.
But I don't know.
He's even starting to dress like anime characters.
I don't know.
Right.
I just feel that it's the way he promotes it is really cheap. There's nothing that really actually gets it more into the collective mainstream consciousness. He just says something in a song where it's a really cheap throwaway lyric and it does
Like what?
nothing and it's done. Gosh, I can't even remember the song right now. It's running through my head and it's making me angry.
Perform for us.
No. Nobody needs to hear
Go
me
ahead, Elena.
sing.
You got
No.
it. You got this.
No. When I remember it, I will post
Googles.
it to the Facebook group.
Yeah, I feel like there was God, who was it? Someone else did like an anime music video recently. It's so recent. I have to look this up. Google it. But there's that. But on at least better musical anime references, Bare Naked Ladies song One Week.
Yes.
They talk about Sailor Moon, just straight up. But then also they talk about how Sailor Moon characters make them think the wrong thing. It's like, whoa. Whoa.
Well,
These are like kids.
They're children.
See, well, I mean, that's fair, right? I mean, that's a very fair lyric where you have grown men saying, that's a 14-year-old animated girl, not okay.
At least they're aware.
They're very self-aware.
Yeah, it's just so silly. And I remember when I was a kid, I always thought, what was it? There's that C'est La Vie song by...
Oh, God. Yeah.
Oh, is it the one by the Irish band?
I think so.
We're so bad at pop culture.
I know, guys. I
We
am
picked the
worst.
wrong
Like,
four
I had
humans
this...
to talk about pop culture
Oh,
today.
it's Bewitched. That's
Yes.
who it was.
Okay.
I knew it. I always thought they were saying Sailor V when I was a kid. I was like, Sailor Moon, yeah.
That's funny.
That's adorable.
So it's not quite correct, but I just, in my heart, I wished it was true.
you can still keep pretending. Nothing's
Yeah, I
stopping
mean,
you from that.
Nobody can tell me what to do.
You know what? Your life is the canon that you decide it is.
Yeah.
That's profound, Mitch.
That is very deep.
That is. That's very deep. Yeah. I like that when I was trying to think of examples, like one of my favorite examples is this non sequitur from Family Guy that makes fun of Speed Racer. Because if you remember the old Speed Racer, they'd have to talk at 1,000,000 miles per hour
That's right.
because they didn't change the translation to make
Yeah.
it fit better. So they had the literal translation, but then the American characters had to be like, oh my gosh, Speed, you have to go faster right now, haha. And so they had this whole Family Guy that basically made fun of that, and I can't remember how it goes, but I just remember the
I vividly
punchline.
remember that every line ends with, haha!
Yeah, with
It's
ha!
so good.
And at the very last line is, I'm not really your father. Ah! Oh! And it was just this whole thing about, like, they even redid sort of the anime style of that
Yeah.
Speed Racer non sequitur, but I just was howling because I used to watch Speed Racer, like, reruns of that growing up, and it is exactly how they had to speak in the American dub. It was like, everything's 1,000,000 miles an hour. You gotta go really, really, really fast. Ha!
I think there was also a really awesome anime chunk in, what was it, Futurama? So, like, I don't know if I forget which episode it was. I don't know if it was the full episode or it was just part of it where they're going to different, like, realities. And at one point, they're all in, like, anime costumes. And someone kind of looked like Sailor Moon, of course.
Excellent.
Because, of course, and, like, kind of, like, Dragon Ball references.
Yeah.
It was just...
I know they did it in Simpsons, too, where I think it was, like, Mr. Sparkle or something.
Oh, yeah.
Was that whole commercial?
Yeah, where he's in, like, the Japanese commercial.
Yeah, that
they
was
draw on,
pretty epic.
Yeah, they draw on, like, the Dragon Ball Cloud a lot, like the little Nimbus guy.
Yeah, they did, which is
And a bunch of
super,
other
super
stuff.
awesome.
I always just get so happy whenever I see, like, anything anime in pop culture. Because I'm like, I know what that is.
I like
feel
that
like a
stuff.
stupid kid. I'm like, yeah.
And I do think that it's kind of cool that, like, in lyrics of songs, I mean, I know that I've heard, like, Gundam or, no, it wasn't Gundam, it was, like, Robotech or something was recently in, like, a rap or hip-hop song, and I started laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, there's an anime reference.
Oh my gosh, I think I just remembered the
Miranda's
music
having
video.
an epiphany live on camera right
Guys,
now.
this is really good. I think I remember what it was. Anime.
I'll try to buy you some time by
Anime
vamping
video.
about things that, like,
Yeah.
this is not something I ever actually consider. Like, when I'm watching a movie or watching TV and something like that happens, it never occurs to me, like, oh, they're making an anime reference. I just kind of, like, washes over me, like, oh, cool. Like, the thing's happening. Like, it never registers that they're talking about a thing that I like.
Okay,
You found it?
I did. I could not remember his name.
Hit me.
Pharrell Williams.
Oh, yeah.
It Girl. If you look
It
at that,
Girl.
it's really weird.
Okay. That was the
Um,
music video?
It's a music video.
Got it.
Go
I
watch
can
it.
see this.
Yeah, go watch it. Straight up.
Whoa, that is like looking at the cover of Shonen Jump.
Wait, hold on.
We're all watching a
it's
YouTube
I know, guys.
video.
It's
It's
really
incredibly
bad.
busy.
Podcast.
All right.
It's just incredibly busy.
Okay.
That first
Crappy.
All right,
initial.
I'm just gonna write
image.
write that down with all my other
Yep,
notes.
you have
So-
a pile of notes
I'll
here.
probably
I
even
do.
put
I
it.
can't read them at all.
I'll probably link it in our article. But Pharrell Williams, It Girl.
All right.
Go look it up and just ready to be like very confused.
Perfect.
it's just so weird. But I forget. I think who the artist was who did it, but he's pretty well known for just kind of like weird anime things and design. So yeah.
I just like that it seems to be a symbol that anime has gone more mainstream and it's more accepted. Because I remember when I first started liking anime, it was like I was kind of on the down low about it because you were teased if you liked that stuff. It wasn't until my senior year of high school we got an anime club, whereas like everyone kind of kept it to themselves kind of thing. And now it's like, no, everyone loves anime and everyone's excited about Ghost in the Shell and, Akira and stuff like that. But it was sort of like that super uber nerdy geeky thing that was kind of...
I want to say that things have definitely become a lot more mainstream in general, but there are still pockets of places out there where, like, what we take for granted here in the office is still not the norm.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Like, it's like I can't have if I worked anywhere else, I don't think I would have a Sailor Moon doll on my desk kind of thing. We can talk about those passions. And it's just a shame that it's still like, oh, you like Star Wars? Oh, you like anime? Oh, you like video games? It's like, ugh. But I also feel like I've seen kids walking around the area where I live where they all seem to have some sort of anime or video game shirt. And when I was growing up, that was not the case. So I do feel like it has gotten a little more mainstream.
It's always been weird to me that anime was treated as like a separate medium from television and film. Like there's television, there's film, and then within that there are like animated things like, 2D movies from Disney or 3D movies from Pixar or whatever. But anime was always like this other thing. Like people would always say, I don't like anime. It's like, what do you mean? It's a story that is on a TV. Yes, you do like it.
Sometimes I wonder, and this is just me completely talking out of my rear end, but sometimes I wonder that has to do with like when it started filtering over from Japan and just the relations between the U.S. and Japan at the time. Where there was kind of that whole like economic downturn, like Japanese cars versus American cars, and like that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
So I don't know if that also influenced that whole. We don't want something that's, foreign or different than what we're used to.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know the like full context of why anime was treated like so much more harshly than other forms of
I had friends in high school who were like, I don't like anime, but I do love Dragon Ball Z and Escaflowne. It's like, then you like...
It's like saying you don't like video games, but you go home and you play.
But I played Dragon Age for 250 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are silly and hypocritical, but... I don't get it. It's like just because you like one show doesn't mean you can't just say you like anime. It's like you don't have to love everything, but you can still like anime.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of anime out there that I just do not want to watch ever.
I strongly dislike 99% of anime.
Yeah.
But I love it.
I mean, it's like garbage, actually.
It's mostly garbage, right?
Well, I think it's like any medium, though. It's like how many TV shows are out there that is just total trash, but then you get that like 4 or 5, you're like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing ever,
Yeah.
So
and
it's
I
like,
keep wanting to watch it.
Exactly. So it's like unfair to say like I just hate anime because it's anime. It's like reading a book or watching any other show or finding a movie.
You're just consuming a cool thing.
It's just different. Like you just have to find the story that matches with what you like.
Yeah, how is Dragon Ball different from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I mean, it's like they're both animated and they're both like funny and full of action, so why are you splitting hairs? So
yeah, well, happy to see anime in a bunch of other places. With that said, we actually want to get to some a listener question.
Yay!
We weren't able to
our first one.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry it took so long, but obviously figuring things out. We want to do more of these, of course. We have a document, like I said, I've posted on many questions usually if you send me one. We have a doc of all your questions, so we will get around to them. So our first question comes from Jared Christian at @random_name. Great Twitter handle. I mean, it's just, okay, cool. He says, thanks for the podcast. I want to know what anime moments most affected you. Watch Party for Log Horizon. Sorry, that didn't win, but...
This is impossible to do without spoiling stuff.
I know.
Right. So
hard.
There's a moment in like the 7th episode of Gurren Lagann that destroyed me.
wow.
Like they do a thing, and you're like, "There's no way they're doing this." And then like there's this weird fade out where the show goes from like full color to like pencil sketches to white, and it's just like, "Oh, they're doing it! They killed that person forever."
Oh my god.
Spoilers.
I mean, someone has to die always, so it's fine.
But it's like the thing I appreciate about anime is that a lot of these stories are self-contained, 1 season, maybe 2 most of the time. Like the best stuff for me is always shorter series. So there is stakes on the table, and people are at risk a lot of the time, and there's tension in a way that like a Daredevil show or like some ongoing thing that will go on for as long as possible. Like nobody in Friends is ever actually in any danger of having bad things happen to them.
Right. I mean, it's very unlikely that they would have ever killed any of them off.
Sure.
And
And,
just
like,
happy succumb, whatever.
Even in Bleach or something like Naruto, like those kids are fine. They're going to be okay. Dramatic things might happen, but they're going to be around for a long time.
Yeah, like
'cause
they might
want you to buy the toys.
Right. They might kill off like a side character, but I
Sure.
mean, even then, like they'll be picky about who they kill. Like, who's
Yeah.
sailing last? No, just kidding.
And
But
Trigun has a lot of that same stuff too. Like, it's my favorite show because they take a lot of major risks to make major things happen that whatever. I don't want to spoil that show. But just watch Trigun. It's incredible.
yeah, so the hard thing about anime too is like with spoilers is that a lot of people go back to watch things. So like like some shows where it's like, oh, it's been like 10 years since it's been on. It's like, no, don't spoil it. Do
I treat
not.
I have
spoilers
to-
are like sacred to me.
No,
Yeah,
so
I hate
I
them.
have to tell this story really fast. To this day, I have a hard time spoiling the big event in Final Fantasy VII because 2 hours out of that event, my best friend and I were on the phone. She didn't even play video games. She didn't play Final Fantasy VII, and she spoiled it for me on the phone. And I, to this day, am kind of bitter about that.
That's why you're not friends anymore.
How?
Why?
We continued to be friends for a while, and then we sort of just, the friendship sort of faded out. But yeah, I was a little angry about that because that was the first game that I could remember where it wasn't the first Final Fantasy where a character died, but it was the first major character to die, and how they died was super impactful,
Sure.
and it was a moment of pathos for so many fans. And I didn't get to. I still bawled. Even
Yeah.
with like the CD skipping, my CD actually started skipping. My PlayStation CD started skipping during that scene.
jeez.
I was
Oh my
so, I already knew what was going to happen. I still cried hysterically. But that's sort of like, I'm with Mitch. I'm like, I'm really careful about spoilers because I still remember that.
But the thing is, even though you cried, you don't have that moment of like,
yeah, you don't have that.
you don't get that
oh my
shock.
God.
It doesn't like stay with you that same way.
Yeah, it's not as like effective, and it's the same thing with anime. It's like there's been moments, but how do you not entirely
So
spoil it?
whenever something gets spoiled for me, what I do is I just put it in the back of my mind
I forget most of the time.
and
too.
try to forget
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to play it. Now I will not play this for however long.
Yeah.
And I'll just get to it sometime. And then hopefully the spoiler will fade. And I was trying to remember because something got spoiled for me like really badly. And I was like, I don't remember what it was now. That's fine.
I have like aggressively deleted Game of Thrones spoilers from my memory. There are things that have happened. I've been like, oh, right, I knew that. Awesome,
Right.
and I experienced it fresh. It's great.
How do you do that?
I don't know, but
I
it is a
can't.
gift.
You just force
So,
yourself.
I don't know, because I in a past work life, I was trying to finish The Walking Dead season 1, and my cube mate at the time, Corey, Mitch knows who I'm talking about. He just blurts out the
Corey
ending.
does not care about spoilers.
No,
at
he
all.
doesn't.
He's just like,
Like,
give
I
them
have a
to me. I
coworker.
need them.
He
Corey
just-
is being put on blast
Yeah.
right now.
It's okay. He doesn't care. I know he won't. But he just blurted out the major spoiler for like the last episode of season 1, and I just turned to
Dude.
him, and I was like, "What? I haven't gone there yet." And he goes, "Oh, sorry. I thought you had." And I can't forget it because I'm
Nope.
so angry about it.
Oh my
Forever
God.
rage.
Remember
Most
that- yeah.
are most people's like most impactful moments death? Because I can only think of one off the top of my head.
No.
In Cowboy
No.
Bebop, where it's like, it's not a death, but it's one of the most powerful moments in the entire show. Second to last episode.
Oh, Mitch.
Well, I mean,
That's a
that makes
teaser.
sense,
That's a
though. I
teaser.
mean,
That's not a
like,
spoiler.
You
That's
should
a
probably
teaser.
expect impactful moments in
There
the
are
last
many.
episodes.
There are many important things that happen at the end of Cowboy Bebop. Surprise.
That gives me something to look forward to. So
Yeah.
I hate. I don't know about other people, but I hate actually knowing anything about pacing because I don't want to actually go into it with any expectations.
That makes sense.
You ever see the
Otherwise-
episode of the IT Crowd where they were like, "Oh, it's that Tarantino flick. Is that the one with the twist at the end?" And they're all like, "Ah, I don't want to know there's a twist at the end." I think it was the IT Crowd.
Yeah.
Pretty
Sounds
good.
about right.
You can
Yeah.
make fun of me, but I know there are other people out there who would agree with me.
Yeah, I understand. Like, I wrote an editorial about spoilers for IGN because I hate them. I hate people who
Yeah,
spoil
yep.
stuff.
It's like if you actually spoil things, you're just one of the worst people. Like if
Correct.
you just do it
Yeah.
happily.
Don't
like,
rob
oh,
people
yeah,
of that
blah, blah,
joy.
blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you
Do
just.
you remember the PR person who
stealing that
sent out the
moment.
spoiler, the Game of Thrones spoiler
that
in
was
the
super
headline,
awesome.
and Greg was furious?
Greg and I both sent her a nasty email, and she sent us a gift basket.
Oh, I
And
remember
we're like,
that.
"Cool, this is, you still spoiled everything."
Oh gosh.
It hadn't been 24 hours too.
Oh man. Yeah, it's like at least 24 hours for certain things. Like Game of Thrones. Like if you're in the office, like I don't like to talk about things. Like you usually be polite, ask if they've seen something. Just ask people first. Don't just blurt
Yep.
out big important things.
Yep.
But anyway, back to our question. Yes, Mitch, I do have things that are anime moments that have affected me that weren't deaths. Actually, just kind of like a whole premise, like with Sailor Moon, like the original series, of course, because that was the better one. Back in the 90s, like I was a kid growing up and watching it, and like it's like super impactful in my life. Just because like it taught you how important friends were and just like being happy and kind to people, and of course it's kind of more toned to kids. Then watching it again when I was in college, I realized like how much of that still held true. Probably one of my favorite things was at the end of Sailor Moon's first arc, whenever they're battling, or when Sailor Moon's kind of like princess form, battling, what's her face?
Beryl Metallia.
Yeah, I forget if they had Metallia in the end. That one, not really. It's just more of like the.
It was really more focused on Beryl.
It was more the Beryl, yeah. Her battling Beryl. You have like that iconic scene when she's holding out her moon rod, and all the other Sailor Scout like ghosts are like right there, like holding it with her.
Right.
And I was just like, oh, because it's just like so impactful. It's like no matter what happens, you always have your friends.
Yeah, relationship stuff is really powerful. Like Buffy is one of my favorite shows because of that.
Right.
Utena is one of my favorite anime because of that. Because it's a fighting anime about a bunch of like girls in school sword fighting and stuff. So it's awesome. But there are relationships in that show that are really incredible, and important stuff happens in there that is deeply affecting.
Yes, I don't think it's limited just deaths or overall impactful like one singular moment. Like it also, I mean, that was also a singular moment where kind of solidified that like even though the Sailor Scouts have like their troubles with each other and they have their own personal issues, whenever they come together, they can kind of do whatever and just be happy and succeed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like super happy things though, like
Like uplifting moments.
like uplifting moments, because I like go through my head of all the
You've
things that
also
are
got
impactful, and it's stuff like I can't think of anything that wasn't tied to some weird trauma that I didn't see coming, and I just feel really bad about
Trauma
that.
I have something that's not necessarily like super happy, but I think for me this exemplifies why I actually still am okay with slice of life sort of things, not even just anime, but like even normal American dramas, that kind of thing, because like kind of what you were saying about the series that does the whole music class thing.
Yeah.
When a slice of life series really gets it right, it actually makes you remember what it feels like to like experience that moment. It feels really real.
Empathy.
Right? Yeah. Not just empathy, but it like recalls that moment
Yeah.
for you. So and you experience it almost like all
Sure.
over again. So for
It's
me,
like a transcendent
yeah,
thing.
I guess I'm not sure if I would get that religious. With
Whatever,
it.
just go with it.
But I don't. It's kind of not a spoiler, but it's I won't say what series it's from. But I remember there's this one slice of life anime I used to watch, and there's this moment. It's like high school, right? And that it's so captured that moment of like wanting another person, but not knowing like how to express it.
How do I talk to a girl?
But it was weird, not weird, but it was unique because you could really see it from both of their perspectives. It was a girl and a guy, and it's like borderline creepy, but at the same time, it's that age where you don't know how not to be creepy.
Yeah.
And so,
Hello, I will. We dance now. Yeah. Just me.
No, me too.
Okay.
It's fine. It happened.
I think I dragged a boy out onto the dance floor in high
Nice.
school, and I don't think he appreciated it, but his loss.
I respect that assertive kind of behavior. Like, I know what I want. Let's go.
Let's go. You're not doing anything. Let's go.
You'll do. Come on.
You weren't my first choice. You weren't even my third choice, but come on. We're going to dance.
Aw.
well, this moment is more of my style, which is not any of the adorable awkward or the assertive awkward. It's just the creepy awkward.
The sad
Just
awkward.
the sad. I'll
I'd
just
rather
go
be the
home and not tell
I know that
anybody
too.
about this. But so it's like after school, Japanese kids, they do a ton of after school activities, clubs, all that, right? Well, this particular protagonist, she is like an overachiever, and so she's fallen asleep at her desk. I guess she was waiting for somebody. She wakes up and he's just like sitting right there watching her sleep.
Weird.
And it seems really creepy, but there's this moment where you can actually, they animated it really well, where you can just feel this kind of moment of like he really wants to be around her and like talk to her and interact with her. So he ends up just like watching her sleep. And it's like that borderline where it's like, well, it's kind of really endearing, but it's also really kind of creepy.
It's like Nozuki-kun, where like she can't tell him that she likes him, so she keeps saying, "I'm your biggest fan." He's like, "Here, I'm just gonna give you an autograph. Here you go, kid." And she's like, "No, that's not what I mean.
Like your
I
personal
like
fan.
You, yeah,
Like
your
you."
personal fan." So I think I totally agree with you, where it's just like that awkward thing, like you feel that it's like, I have been that person. And it is the worst feeling. Where like, I really want to say something, but the feeling of rejection is so terrifying that you're just like, nope, I can't do it.
Yeah,
Because there have been times where it's like, I've been on both sides of that fence, where it's like, you're the one who has to say, sorry, I'm not interested, and then you're the one who has to hear that, and it sucks, So, yep.
The feels. I think it's always, of course, affected you most is like the hard feels. Whether it's just happier, sad, usually sad. Like I could probably think of like 20 more moments, but it's like, let's not spoil things.
Tell us your favorite sads on the Facebook group.
Yeah. When were you sad while watching anime?
Yeah.
Or
IG
anytime.
anime.
Okay, so with our question done, thank you again, Jared, for your question. Let's do that anime watch party!
Yeah!
Yay! So we are on Cowboy Bebop episodes 3 and 4. If you haven't watched the first two, go back to our other episode if you want to kind of hear what we had to say or what you guys had to say as well.
Yeah.
But for this episode, we watched Honky Tonk Woman, episode 3, and episode 4 was Gateway Shuffle, which I know Mitch has some opinions on.
I have some thoughts on Gateway Shuffle.
So from what you guys had to say, let's just I just want to let you guys have your voice, of course, so please send in your thoughts. Hashtag IGN IME. So it's a silly hashtag. So while you're watching the show, tag your thoughts, and we can maybe read them on here or post them in the Facebook group. So Andrew Cassidy said, watching this made me got a corgi. So worth it.
Nice.
So that is awesome.
Thank you, Ein.
Ein is the best and so cute.
He's
So
so adorable.
I'm really happy they introduced him early on, because where would we be without Ein?
Yeah. I was about to... Oh, God. There's so many questions I want to ask, but they're spoilers for later episodes.
Oh,
so
okay.
wait.
Yeah.
I guess I should ask this question, or maybe it'll be answered. But just because I used to study German, I've noticed there's German sprinkled throughout so far in Cowboy Bebop, and I'm wondering if there's any significance to that.
I think there's a bunch of... I think Ganymede is supposed to just be this, weird melting pot of Earth culture,
Okay.
where there are bits of, everything.
Okay. But
I have nothing to support this.
okay.
Yeah,
I was
but
just, it was,
no,
I
they
wasn't sure if
mentioned-
it was specific to the series. I also remember in the late 90s, even early 2000s, there was this weird fad that Japan was going through with making a ton of references to German culture or
I
using
think we
German.
remember that.
Yeah. There was what was it? Weißkreuz,
Yeah.
White Cross. That was a series, and I just remember catching actual German phrases in other series. So I can't remember if this is just related to that or if this is actually. I was wondering if it was actually specific to the show.
Watanabe is kind of a referential guy. Samurai Champloo is nothing but references. It's basically, hey, we have these two samurai dudes and a lady surrounded by hip hop references, modern pop culture that we've reappropriated for the feudal era. Cool, and it's awesome.
I just you lost me again.
That's fine.
You gotta go easy on the old people, Mitch.
Have you not seen Samurai Champloo?
No.
It's the Cowboy Bebop director's other show.
Oh.
It's awesome and super funny. And
But in Cowboy Bebop, don't they actually, because you mentioned German, I took extensive notes on episode 3 because it has so many
holy crap, did you ever?
brilliant references that I actually had to go back and take notes because I'm I think Goeth or Goeth, I don't pronounce
Goethe.
German. He's actually referenced in this. So is Charlie Parker, who's the inventor of bebop jazz, is referenced in
Funny.
it, which is totally appropriate for
Yep.
Cowboy Bebop. And it's it's Honky Tonk Woman. They mentioned Poker Alice, who was a famous female gambler out of the Wild West. It's all this stuff even I didn't know and had to go look it up. And I'm this is what I love about this show is it makes me want to go out and educate myself more about just different kinds of culture.
It's a weirdly cultured show.
It's always nice
Yeah.
when anime does that, heavily references culture, and you can kind of pick up on it, and then you get to learn a little bit more about something else just from watching a show.
Yeah, but they're really obscure references. There was
Yeah.
I wrote it down. There was an reference to David Bowie's band Spiders from Mars. I think that was the name of the casino in the third
Nice.
episode. I was oh my god, that's amazing.
It's basic, like I said, Watanabe is a super referential guy. He's basically just all right, I like stuff. I'm gonna put it everywhere on the show. It's everywhere. All my favorite stuff is in the show now.
Yeah, but he ties it in really well. I didn't feel like anything was out of sorts or out of place in the third episode. Or I was okay, that's just really cool how you tied this, and this in.
Yeah, and this is an episode that is just very continuing at the rapid fire introductions of all these characters. Go. Here's this person. Here's this person. Here's how their relationship works. Now we got a dog, and here's how they react to the dog. And now here's Faye.
Yeah. Who is voiced by Megumi Hayashibara in the Japanese version, which I'm super excited about. She's my favorite Japanese
I have never seen
seiyuu.
Bebop in Japanese.
It's
What?
awesome.
What?
The dub is so good that
It
I
is
just
actually
watched
really
it in
good.
English.
That's what I've been watching.
Yep.
So I've already watched it in Japanese, so I'm just watching this time around in English. And
Every
I'm
time I
enjoying it.
rewatch, I'm maybe I'll watch it in Japanese. No, the English dub is so good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. So kind of going back to the pop culture thing, Ian Barkis commented on our Facebook group and said that I really love the Rolling Stones reference in the episode title of Honky Tonk Woman. Really highlights the subtle pop culture references that will always be cool.
It's a fun fact. Every single episode of Cowboy Bebop is named after a rock song.
That's really cool.
That's
I didn't
super
pick up on
awesome.
that. Man,
Fun fact.
good
of
we
the
have you here.
Wait, Gateway Shuffle. I know that rock song.
I don't know it off the top of my head, but there's a ton that are just like, oh, that's that band, and that's that group, and that's that guy.
That's really cool. Like, there's so much deep stuff you could just like dig into on Cowboy Bebop.
They have entire I actually after the 3rd episode, I like scrounged around online and was like, all right, they had entire blogs dedicated to analyzing every single episode of Cowboy Bebop. It's really impressive.
That was what I came away with after watching both episodes 3 and 4, which was, we've talked a lot about pacing in general since we started the show, especially when we've been watching all the stuff from the spring lineup. And I mean, it's like night and day from what I've been watching, like Arslan and the Plastic Memories and, trying to catch up on other things. And then watching Cowboy Bebop, I don't even know that only 24 minutes have gone by. I feel like I've watched an entire hour in that same amount of time.
Every feels like a film.
Yeah, it's so well contained.
Episode 4.
It packs in so much stuff. There's no fluff at all. They, as you were saying, they just go. They just boom, 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 boom. Like
there's never a wasted minute. There's rarely a wasted
minute. There's always something, even when it's not full of action, you're learning something about a character.
Yeah.
There's something about a moment. It's just incredibly well paced.
They're so good at it too that they take tropes like a bottle episode later on and they're like, we're just gonna spend the whole episode on the ship and crazy stuff's gonna happen and it's gonna be fun and you're gonna learn about these characters and they're gonna.
Good.
It's so good.
So good. I know which episode you're talking about, so I'm just like, that's good.
And so for me, nerding out as a former lit major, I look at these episodes and say to myself things like, oh, look at that motif. They're constantly drawing through Gateway Shuffle. What I loved in the beginning is the fact that it's all about, again, food, right? So you see they start with Jet and Spike ordering, and then you move to their target who's eating, and then you watch the what becomes the antagonist of that particular episode eating, right? Like that is the unifying theme among all these people. Like this is a common thread. I don't know. There's something about that. I completely nerded out about that. I love that.
They even have little details. Like I was like really impressed with how like you have little details like Faye's ship has this gun that cocks itself before firing, and it's like little weird details like that. I'm like, it's so realistic. It's so grounded in reality.
Yeah.
That I love those like tiny little details. I normally never notice that, but it's because it's never in other shows.
It's very like the aesthetic of their space stuff is very Star Wars, and that it looks like it's been built by somebody.
Yeah.
Like it's not a pristine modern design. These ships are like, well, we stuck a machine gun under here and it has to like fold down and roll out, and now we have bullets in space.
Yeah, and it looks recognizable. So even like this huge roulette wheel in space, like you see the little details, like you see trains going around it and you see buildings and how it's like revolving really slowly, and I'm like, God, that is so cool. That is such granular detail, but it is so grounded in reality that I can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do one more comment and then we want to actually probably talk about Gateway Shuffle. Your hate for it. So
I wasn't thrilled with it either.
So I'm gonna butcher this name. I'm really sorry because you have a good comment.
Dude, I believe in you.
So Manveer Singh S-I-N-G-H. Singh. Okay, you got me. All right. He says Honky Tonk Woman is an ace episode, which it is because we get Faye Valentine.
Of course.
Amazing. Was my first exposure to the series and got hooked on the action and comedy. Mistaken identity is always a good trope. Twinkle, Maria, Murdoch, and Faye Valentine, interesting and strong female characters, and one is pretty damn ruthless.
Yeah, I mean, in the casino, you get to see like the awesome fight scene with Spike and all the guys in the casino. One of my favorite things about Bebop is it has fight choreography. It's not just random stuff happening. Like, it makes sense. There's kind of a good physicality to it. And then you get to see like Faye as a resourceful, smart human being who breaks out and tries to escape on her own and can kind of hold she gets a little bit kidnapped and damsel in distress, but she solves it.
Right, she's not just helpless sitting there like waiting or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
she's like getting angrier as time goes on. She's like, God, I'm so tired of being in here. I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, and in the 4th episode too, like you can see how resourceful she is. She always has some device where like lipstick or like a way to get out of handcuffs. Like she's really resourceful, even when she's a damsel in distress. She seems to like basically save herself.
But even when she's a damsel in distress, it's because she decided that that's the role she was going to play to get something out of it.
Yeah, it's usually a ploy. Like, I'm going to get captured if I do this, but it actually gets me closer to this, so we're good.
Yeah. She's incredibly smart.
Yeah,
absolutely.
She's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's the smartest of that crew.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
She's the most cunning, I'll give her that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jet thinks he's the smartest, and he's he's got like, I don't know, if Faye has street smarts, then I think Jet is more like educated. He knows what's going on in the world. I mean, he was a cop, so he knows the ways of the world a little more clearly than the rest, but he's just like, he doesn't think like Faye does.
Yeah,
Right.
I think Spike's the most intuitive.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Gateway Shuffle.
So for me, Gateway Shuffle is this weird, anomalous episode in the series that is unlike any other episode.
Yep.
It's this weird pacing change. You guys talk about pacing being really good. It's very rapid fire throughout the first 3 episodes. It's introducing new characters. 4 is the first episode where the gang is all here. And this is their first like real adventure together, even though they're not really together yet.
Yeah, there's still
But
people.
the characters they're interacting with they seem extremely out of place in this world that is like cool and jazzy and rock and roll and laid back all at the same time. You have these like nutty, silly, childish men in rat masks who have this like weird messianic relationship with their mother that I don't understand.
So awkward. I mean, it reminded me of like Mom from Futurama.
Yeah.
Everyone said
like,
that in the comments too.
That's
They're like, it's
absolutely.
Mom.
But I
Oh,
don't
it's
think
like,
that's
okay.
I don't think it's by choice. Like I don't think they're like, "Oh, we want this to be like a weird relationship."
Right.
I think it's just a weird relationship that's handled poorly. I think it's the only relationship in the show that's handled poorly.
Yeah. And just like their objectives were weird. It's like this weird animal rights
Yeah.
random extremist group. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's a very awkward episode in its own right, but it's also a strange bridge from the gang is all here to Vicious in episode 5, which we'll learn about
Right.
next week.
Episode 5 is fantastic.
And episode 5 it's very different. Like it
Right.
slows the pacing down, but within that episode, enough happens and you learn a lot, and you learn about the underlying story of Cowboy Bebop, and you learn about Spike, and you learn a lot more in a way that episode 4 just doesn't teach you anything. There's nothing to gain out
It was
of
just like,
episode
oh, hey,
4.
fun adventure.
Yeah, it's kind of
kind
like
of-
a Monster of the Week episode,
Yeah.
but the bounty hunters are not unified yet, so they're trying to like show them struggling to work together, but it's in this like I don't know, you have this awkward relationship with the crew, you have this awkward relationship with the villains, and none of it really gels to be interesting for me.
Yeah.
This is the only
totally
episode
fair.
in the whole show that when I rewatch Bebop I skip.
I'm glad that you said that because I didn't enjoy that episode at all. I felt it was totally disjointed and out
Yeah.
of place, and it was like, I don't get what this is supposed to be teaching. Like every other episode has taught me something about the crew and
Yep.
about the show, and this is just almost like filler. And I was like, it's a little too soon to have like a filler episode, so I'm not sure what the end game was.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned the motif, right? The food thing. Yeah, like that stuff's really interesting. Like they directorially know what they're doing. Like they know how to visualize stuff really well, but there's nothing in this episode that in the universe I'm like, "Oh, well that's cool. This is a cool place."
I would say for me, I feel like that's less of a question of not being able to get, for me, like not being able to get anything out of it, and more of it's not paced incredibly well for
Yeah.
Bebop. I mean, this
Yeah.
is still a really well-paced episode compared to a lot of other things I've seen. But for Bebop, it's not as great because in the beginning, I felt like I was really picking up something about the world. Like the fact that food is so central to everyone kind of basically tells you how poor
Yeah.
this universe
And you
is.
see that throughout the whole series.
Right. So I felt like I was learning something in that regard. And then it kind of veers off into that weird territory you're talking
Yeah.
about where I wasn't entirely sure why this group decided it wanted to take up this particular
Right, like-
species as its,
In a world
core cause.
where food is a luxury, to be able to eat is a luxury, standing up for rats is dumb. It's really, really dumb.
Yeah. It's weird.
And it wasn't explained well. So if, for example, that group had some kind of ties to a ton of money so they could have that luxury of then deciding
Yeah.
that other people couldn't eat a certain thing. That would make more sense.
Could it be
just
in the
wasn't
context
explained
of
well.
whaling in Japan, where people have really taken them to task for that? Whether it's like, I don't know if
be.
you saw the Cove kind of
possible.
thing, but like I feel like maybe the sea rat theme was just because it's like it's dolphins or whales. It's like
Yeah.
a metaphor for that.
I think they wanted like a rompy tone to terrorists as opposed to like a bomber,
yeah.
which even then, like when they do that, it's really interesting.
yeah.
So my biggest issue is that the sea rats aren't even cute. So
Go on.
I mean, they're very awkward looking.
Get
you
rid
only
of
want
them.
to say
No,
you
I
only
mean-
want to save the cute ones. Is that it?
Only the cute ones. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Only save the cute animals.
But no, it was overall. It was an episode. I mean, it's like, oh, okay, Monster of the Week kind of thing. But I mean,
Yeah.
there's more payoff in episode 5. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's
This
fine.
is basically
it's
just
okay.
like wasting time until episode 5
Yeah.
for me.
So
Just go straight from Faye to episode 5.
Yeah, you probably don't miss too much, but
I don't know. I was actually a huge fan of episode 3 either, relatively speaking.
I think it's okay. I think it's an okay. I like it, but I don't love it in the same way I do the rest. Like, it's very fast paced. I like that it's got a cool fight scene. The fight on the hull is really cool, and you get to see Faye be a bit of a badass. But I kind of wish there was more Faye and less Spike doing his thing in this episode, because it's not really about Faye yet.
She'll have her time.
Correct.
All right. Well, Mitch, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, I demand that you have me back for Piero LeFou.
You will. Okay.
I love that episode so much.
Okay, we will be sure to have you on then. Thank you guys so much. If you're, like I said again, if you're watching Cowboy Bebop, watch with us. We'd love to talk about it with you. Send us in your comments. If you have like a essay, probably shorten it down. But but like maybe like a paragraph. If you like a really cool like paragraph to say about something about the episode or something you noticed or something you really loved, let us know. Of course, that's easier now on the Facebook group. So that again is facebook.com/group/IGN Anime Club. So make sure you join, and we will talk about anime with you.
Yep, and then you can also hit us up on Twitter with the hashtag IGNanime, which is super, super cute.
Silly.
Mitch, what's your Twitter handle?
I am at MitchieD.
Very cool. Elena?
Oh, at Morphing Ball.
And I'm at Havoc Rose, and it's Havoc with a K.
I'm at Megan_IGN, Megan with an H.
Yeah, so reach out to us. Love to talk to you. And you guys are awesome. Thanks. Anime Club, yeah!
We did it!
Okay, bye!
Bye!